Sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Modern Open in Syracuse, brought to you by Ultimate Guard. I'm Nick Miller alongside our now 4-time Open champion, Ross Merriam. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The handshake comes with a little bit of hardware.
Yeah.
You now have two-day Opens to go along with the others, and you've spread out your winning. 2012, 14, 15, and now 16.
Yeah, it turns out that once a year is about how often I run hot enough to actually win. So this is my one time for this year, so just ignore me for the next 4 or 5 months.
Write you off the rest of the year.
Yep, makes your job easier.
What we can't write off is this dredge deck. The three of you from Roanoke played it, Tom, Todd, and yourself. You know, we haven't seen in a tournament in a long time, I think since when Ivan Jin won the Standard Open with kind of the Jeskai Ascendancy combo deck with Heroic built in, that we've seen a deck just kind of take over a tournament like the dredge deck this weekend. Of course it won the Classic in Baltimore, but to have it on coverage, see it all weekend.
And see some of the degenerate things it can do.
This deck was broken, talk about it.
So yeah, Todd, Tom, and I all liked the deck and all decided to play it. We talked a lot about it. Tried to get to a list that we liked, ended up all playing somewhat different lists. Todd and I both had more Bridges and Gargadons. We played a full set of each, and Tom only played 2 of each and played more of the traditional cards like Life from the Loam to Fuel Conflagrate. I am still unsure as to which direction is better. I know that my Bridges and Gargadons weren't very good yesterday, but I drew a lot more Gargadons today, so my Bridges were great. And that tells me that if I want to go this route, we need more sacrifice outlets. If there's not a good one, then I'll probably cut down on that package and be more like Tom's deck, or just cut it completely and be more like some of the other dredge lists we saw on the field. Like Caleb Shearer played dredge, didn't have any Bridges or Gargadons, but as you I mean, Bridge and Gargadon when they get going are really good, but the rest of the deck, Conflagrate is absurd. Collective Brutality I'd like to try in the main deck in more slots. Every time I cast it, it was great. Yeah,
we saw you multiple times, or at least I saw you play that card multiple times.
I only cast it twice in the tournament, Nick.
Then I saw them both. But there were such blowouts, like you killed a Scavenging Ooze, you ripped like a good card out of their hand.
Path Exile and discarded a Dredger.
Right, and then in the finals here, killing your own creature to get a token, getting rid of a card from their hand, like that card seems really good.
Yeah, probably misplayed it a bit. Because he had the Secure Tribe Elder to blow up my bridge, and I should have just kept the bridge in hand and not tried to kill anything. The deck is incredibly complex, and I'm sure the thing that sort of worries me and excites me about the deck is that I'm sure I only played it at average or slightly above average, and I don't have the best, like a really well-tuned list. So the ceiling in the deck is even higher than we've seen in this tournament.
Right.
I don't know how much hate people are going to be packing next week at the Invitational, but all 3 of us won through hate pretty consistently a lot of the time. I beat it turn 3 Rest in Peace, because I just had 11 power in play by the time he cast it.
Tom beat a turn 0 Leyline.
Yeah, I beat a Grafdigger's Cage that never left before I got a creature into play. We all beat a ton of relics and stuff like that. So people had they came prepared a little bit. But when they drew their 1 piece of hate, either they didn't draw it on time, which is the key thing they needed in the first 2 turns usually, or they were kept a hand that was so weak with outside of that.
They weren't doing anything outside of that piece.
We just drew through our deck, found an answer to it, or drew through our deck and just found some other way to win. Bridge Gargadon can sometimes beat a cage. I just dredged back some Grave Trolls in a match and cast 3 of them.
Right, seeing you cast like Golgari Thugs and just all the weird, awful creatures on their own that turned out to be just what you needed. You know, I think about it, the intro match against Chris Anderson, he had Knight of Soul's Betrayal and a cage in play, but it was enough that you could just keep playing 3/3s or 2/2s and get there.
Well, they were 1/1s because of Knight of Soul's Betrayal. I was looping back Golgari Thug, casting it, letting it die because it's now a 0/0, getting a zombie that's now a 1/1, and taking down some Greater Gargadons, and Chris flooded for long enough that I was able to get there. So.
One thing you touched on was how difficult the deck was to play. I mean, I talked to Tom, Todd, Caleb, all the people playing it this weekend. They all said it was incredibly difficult. And I imagine even some of those people have played dredge decks in the past.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on in these decks.
A ton. It is one of the hardest decks I've ever played. And you can see in some of the camera matches, there's a ton of stuff I could have done differently. And the underrated aspect of its difficulty is that you're spending so much time trying to figure out how to make your own lines and use your cards to the best of their ability that sometimes you just flub up because you just don't have you just miss something. In the top 4, I just attacked a zombie into a 2/3 when I was tapped out. And you just can't see everything. There's too much to see, and sometimes you miss stuff on your opponent's board, and that can be devastating. So it's going to take a little bit more effort to get more comfortable with the deck. I certainly got a lot more comfortable as the tournament went on and was more crisp in my mechanics. And we'll probably change the deck by 10 to 15 cards at least. There's a lot left to do.
Where do you see the deck going?
I think at worst, this deck is one of the sort of degenerate decks of Modern that spikes when there's not a lot of hate and can really be hated out if you try hard enough. At best, it is completely broken and we need to ban Faithless Looting. That's the card you would ban from it.
Faithless Looting.
Pretty wide range still, and I had to peg a point, I'm not sure if it's ban worthy. I think it is just at the high end of a hateable deck, kind of like Infect. If you try hard enough, you can beat Infect, but it's so good, and you generally need so much to beat it that you can't justify using that many sideboard slots in such a wide open format like Modern. I think it's going to end up somewhere in that range.
You thinking to play it next weekend?
It's definitely on the short list, but we'll see how well we can tune it and how much hate we expect, how resilient it really is when people are gunning for it and it's got a target.
All right. Well, it looked very good this weekend. You took down your 4th trophy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Send it back over to Matthias and Ryan one last time here in Syracuse.